All right, happy Tuesday night, everybody. Welcome on into the Hat Creek Interior Studios. We're glad you're with us tonight. We got stuff going on. That's right, Tuesday's best Christmas songs. Two best, traditional or modern, however you want to play that. We got a lot to talk about with Texas Tech football, basketball, all of the Jacob Rodriguez being the ultimate PR machine for Texas Tech. Even when he's not winning awards, he's still winning awards. Hello, Bronco Nagurski. And then, of course, you saw the slug lines. Does college football need Notre Dame? Or does Notre Dame need college football? Or maybe do neither one of them need each other? All that, and the bowls are dying, and here's to the bowls dying. Kill them all off. Get rid of the vestiges of the Great Depression. Thank you very much. Get rid of the welfare bowls, and then whatever else is on your mind tonight. Let's get this going. In three, in two. Good evening, West Texans, all you good, fine, friendly folks out there who wish you were. I'm Ryan Hyatt. TheRaiderland.com is where you start your day every day on the website. We give you our thoughts, our questions of the day. Then we throw out the Raiderland hot links brought to you by Jackson Brothers Meat Locker in Post, Texas. Order today. Go to their website. Tell them we said, hey, but you still got time, I think, to get it shipped out for your holiday parties. But don't delay. Order today. And if you're in the West Texas area, just go over to Post and say hi. Yeah, we're brought to you tonight also by McAlpin Chiropractic, the official chiropractor of Raiderland. I don't know, maybe you strained too hard getting all the Christmas decorations and boxes out of the attic or out of the garage or out of storage, and now you don't feel right. Maybe you're one of those pickleball warriors. You know who you are, and you people need to slow down. There's a reason you're playing pickleball instead of tennis. So when you screw that up, Kevin McAlpin, he's your guy. He's going to make you feel better. The official chiropractor of Raiderland. Also brought to you by Calhoun Realty in Red River, New Mexico. They've been selling the Valley since, I don't know, like the 1960s and 70s and everything. Yeah, nobody does it better. If you're looking for rental property or you want to buy something or just lease or whatever it is, there in Red River, you need to call Calhoun. Tell them we said, hey. And everybody gets in tonight, every single one of you tonight, that will correspond and visit with us and exchange thoughts on the United Supermarkets chat line, the one supermarket that is the official supermarket of Texas Tech Athletics and the official supermarket of Raiderland right here at theraiderland.com. Okay, so here we go. Tonight, where do you want to start? Jacob Rodriguez, not a finalist for the Heisman. Nobody should be shocked at all. Nobody should be surprised at all. And you can, grit your teeth and wail against it. But the mere fact that there was a massive PR movement around Rodriguez, to me, is as good as the Heisman Trophy. Because here's why. I bet most people can't tell me the last three winners of the Heisman Trophy. I'd have to look it up. I don't care. You don't care. You're mad because your guy wasn't a finalist. I get that. I understand that from a Tech fan. But it ain't what it used to be, right? That I got a better shot at telling you guys who won the Heisman Trophy in the 1980s and 70s than I do over the last 10 years. But the big thing to me was Texas Tech maximized the publicity. Joey McGuire got it. He understood it. Let him throw a pass. Let him try to throw a couple of passes. I really wanted to see him line up at wide receiver and catch a pass. That's just me. But the whole thing about Rodriguez not getting an invite, you knew that was going to happen, right? But it doesn't matter because the PR and the awareness of the program and everything else. I mean, I do find it laughable that by any estimation, and not even just the Nagurski Award last night, best defensive player in the country, you're telling me the best defensive player in the country is not one of the best football players in the country. Okay, I get it. And then we have the question of the night. Does college football need Notre Dame? Notre Dame, Pete Bavacqua, the AD, mad, irreparable harm done to our relationship with the ACC. Can't believe they were left out of the college football playoff. The ACC, which we don't play football in, but we're friends with, and they didn't stick up for us and stuck up for Miami. Okay, Tell me why college football needs, the rest of college football needs Notre Dame. That if every Power 4 conference right now, ACC, Big 10, SEC, Big 12, if they all said, we're not going to play you, what would happen to Notre Dame? What would happen to Notre Dame? What would happen to the 4 conferences who said, we're just, you don't want to be in a conference, you don't want to do this, you don't want to play by the rules, you want special rules. Okay, that's fine. You can go play whoever you want to play. Navy, you know, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I'm not even sure that's a football team or a hockey team. We're not going to play you because a case can be made, a real easy case can be made that Notre Dame in 2025 desperately needs college football more than college football needs it. They will trumpet their ratings. Let me put their ratings into perspective. They're at any time more than 50% less than what the SEC and the Big 10 gets. So where does that put that against the Big 12? Ahead of the Big 12 in ratings on average. But here's the deal. So while Notre Dame may get like 3.5 to 3.6 million on an average rating, they're one team. And they want to compare that to a conference of 16 teams in the Big 12 and say, yeah, but they only get 2.9. Well, if all you did was look at the top rated games in the Big 12 and say, we're only going to count Tech, BYU, Utah, and Arizona State maybe this year. Then we're going to take our top teams and put it against your one-team league where you're getting about 3.5, sometimes close to 4, depending on who you're playing. The Big 12 does better. Texas Tech and Utah better than the average of a Notre Dame game on NBC. So this idea that there's some sort of ratings juggernaut is just absolutely false. They're way below the Big 10 and the SEC. They'll claim supremacy over the Big 12, but it's only because the Big 12, when they take in all the games that you got to show in a 16-team league, if all we had to do was show 6 games every year in the Big 12, which is what Notre Dame does with NBC, 6 or 7, I can't remember however it is. If all the Big 12 had to do was show the best 6 games every year, what do you think the ratings would look like? Well, I just told you. It'd be as good or better than Notre Dame. So we asked the question tonight, does college football need Notre Dame? They're pitching a fit. Good, have fun. Get mad at the ACC. Part of this is the ACC's problem for letting them come in all sports, non-football, with a, quote, scheduling agreement years ago. They should have never done it. You're either in or you're out. Do I want Notre Dame in the Big 12? Absolutely 100% not. No. I don't want them in the Big 12. I don't want them in the Big 12 as a football partner or anything. Because I don't think they're really worth it in 2025. They claim anywhere between 11 and 13 national championships in football. Last one, 1988. Kansas State's been more relevant at times during that time than Notre Dame. So why do we care about Notre Dame? Well, they have a TV contract with NBC. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And maybe, no, NBC has to do it because they're totally locked out on all the other major conferences. So we asked that question tonight. Does college football need Notre Dame, or does Notre Dame need college football? You guys jump in on the United Supermarkets chat line tonight. Whether you're on Facebook, Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland, on YouTube, again, Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland, free. Every channel we have is free, and on Twitter X at Ryan Hyatt Media. We'll get your comments in. We'll get you going tonight. Bowls are dying. Do you care about the bowls? I don't. I love that Notre Dame's not going to play in a bowl game. Great. Please. Hope it kills them off. You saw in the Big 12 that teams were willing to pay $500,000 in fines to not play in a bowl game. Iowa State, Kansas State, that teams were willing to pay the Big 12 $500,000 to not play in a bowl game. Your thoughts on Jacob Rodriguez, Tuesday's best, Christmas songs. If anybody gives me the waitresses tonight, more power to you. Modern. We have modern. You can do two best on either side. Two best traditional, two best modern. And in basketball, we got some numbers coming up on that. All right. Let's get some of the comments, questions, and everything else going on the United Supermarkets chat line this evening. Danny gets us going on Facebook. RG3 made a huge push for Rodriguez to New York. I'm not bothered that he didn't get the invite, the Heisman, nothing but a popularity contest. Well, yeah. I mean, it's a popularity contest. It's a vote. It's the skill position players on the best teams in a given year now. And I got a couple of really good friends who are Heisman voters. They take it seriously. I know what their ballots have looked like in the past. I have a feeling I know what they're going to look like if they choose to release them this go around, and they can after the award has been announced and everything. But it just is not the Heisman. If you're, I don't know how old you have to be to remember when the Heisman, in my opinion, truly mattered. And now it doesn't, and it has nothing to do with Don Williams or David Collier. Danny, Notre Dame is irrelevant now. If they were the consistently good team year after year, college football might need them, but now, nope. I mean, they're not completely irrelevant. They are maybe the Dallas Cowboys of college football, right? That the Cowboys last had success in the early mid-'90s. Notre Dame even farther back than that from a national championship. But they've been just good enough at times over the last 30, 40 years to be in the conversation. So there's relevant and there's meaningful. But that they should get special consideration, that they should get special rules. Why? Because, again, the TV ratings that they have on a standalone NBC network are crushed by the SEC and the Big Ten. They're comparable to the Big 12. And if I take out all the crap games that we got to show in the Big 12, and we only put the best 6 Notre Dame games or the 6 Notre Dame games of the year against our best 6, guess what? Big 12 looks pretty good. Reagan gets in on Facebook. Facebook coming in strong. YouTube starting to kick in. Our Twitter X people at Ryan Hyatt Media. And you guys know what to do. Everybody on social media, please hit share. Please hit subscribe. If you are on YouTube watching and you've not subscribed, Facebook and everything else, please do that. Notre Dame, I like their coach, says Reagan, but hey, play a meatier schedule, get a proper invite. Or win the games that you lost that you try to count and say, yeah, but we lost these good games. And I'm talking this year specifically. Otherwise, be in a conference or don't. But I get back to the idea of, and I blame the ACC partly for coddling them, for bringing them in. And I really think when it happened, almost 20 years ago when they brought in Notre Dame non-football, that they thought, oh, they'll eventually come in out of the cold. They'll play football in the ACC. They'll have to be a part of our basketball with the basketball culture. It didn't work that way. I blame you, ACC. Lonnie, this part of we doesn't care about Notre Dame. There you go. Chris, it's not the 1950s. Knute Rockne is not walking through that door. Ara Parsegan is not walking through that door. Dan Devine is not walking through that door. Primetime Dog on YouTube. Kick rocks in Indy. Why do you think they matter right now? Does college football need Notre Dame, or does Notre Dame need college football? The question tonight. Bowls are dying off. Bowl games are dying off. Do you guys care? I don't. I want them to go away until I get my 64-team league of top college football playing teams outside the NCAA, and the top 32 go into the playoff. The bottom 32 every year, they play a bowl game. That's right. The worst teams in the top 64 every year are guaranteed to play in a bowl game. And we can keep alive the Astro Bluebonnet Bowl and the whatever bowl. That teams are willing to pay $500,000 to not play in a bowl game? What more do you need to know, people? Chris, I would be fine with Tech never going to another non-playoff bowl game again. Thank you. Amen. Right there. Kirby Hocutt, Dr. Lawrence Skuvenick, Joey McGuire come out with the Red Raider doctrine. Playoffs are nothing. Playoffs are nothing. Because the bowl games are nothing. They mean nothing. They don't do anything for you. It's wasting time that you could be spent getting your team better for next year in the transfer portal, shopping for players, and moving forward. Yeah, but man, the extra practices. Guys, the whole practice thing, I railed against this for almost a decade now. It's irrelevant. Those extra practices don't mean a damn thing because of the way the offseason is structured now, where you're basically having every day during the offseason, inside outside drills. You're not scrimmaging live, but it doesn't matter. You don't do that in the spring, anyways. That the whole concept of like 10 more practices, stupid. And the coaches have known that for years, but that's just what they trumpeted to say, hey, the bowl games matter. You know, we get these practices. These idiot players, half of them are going to be gone. The others aren't going to remember 3/4 of what you taught them in December when it turns into August, so it don't matter. But yes, Chris, I agree with Chris. We need the Red Raider doctrine. Playoffs or nothing. Never a bowl game. Ever again. Ever again. How many of you guys support that? You tell us tonight on the broadcast. Reagan again on Facebook. Where's my Twitter X people at Ryan Hyatt Media? Come on, guys, get in. You'll blow it up on the replay. Replay will be 300, 400, 500 people, and you know, what are you guys doing? Reagan, I do like the bowls, but we're at a time where college football is ready for a true NFL league and playoff format. Yeah. What do you like about the bowls still? I'm not picking on you, Reagan, but seriously, I have not sit down in the last, I don't know how many years, and just said, I can't wait to watch this bowl game. It has become background music, and that's what the bowls are. They're background music created by ESPN, who bought most of the bowls, control it because they have to have a certain number of hours of programming to extrapolate out the money they get from the sponsors who pay for the actual playoffs in real games. So they got to do this in December, and they stretch these things out. That's why ESPN bought the interest in the bowl games. It's paid programming, people. It's no different than turning on your TV early on a Sunday morning or whenever, or cable TV late at night, and they're selling you Ginsu knives. The bowls are paid programming. That's the only way they can get what's called a CPM, a number of people watching, eyeballs, so they can charge you, $1 million for this advertising package that isn't worth it. But hey, what if we gave you ads that ran all through December 15th through New Year's Day? How about that? Would you like that then? Yeah, okay. And the dumbass media buyer at the advertising agency, she's probably about 30 years old, 32 years old. She doesn't understand anything about football, who's watching or whatever, but she sees what's called a CPM number and an eyeball number, and she goes, oh, okay, yeah, we'll do that. JCTT, I can't tell you the last 3 Heismans nor the last 3 Natties with any certainty. This is entertainment for me, specifically Tech. So out on being upset about Heisman and actual title hype is what matters. And I hope nobody thinks I'm disappointed for Jacob Rodriguez, because I think he's one of the 4 or 5 best college football players this year based on what he's done. And I think on the idea of you're going to have a trophy that goes to the most outstanding college football player in the year, he ought to be in there. But we all know that it doesn't work that way. But what has happened, though, is his candidacy, his play in Texas Tech has generated a great PR machine for Tech. And that's good, Chris, the Heisman is just another TV show now. The college football playoff is a TV show. The college football playoff rankings for the last month, TV show. You've been tuning in. And the playoffs are a TV show. NCAA tournament is a TV show. That's a big difference between college sports, the NCAA tournament, where they still have a committee that selects teams and puts them in, as opposed to a hardline, definitive NFL, even the NBA and Major League Baseball and almost all the other pro sports where you have to do X to get this. You win this, you do this. There's no committee going, yeah, Kansas City has been the most dominant team in the ratings for the NFL for the last decade, and here they are sucking. But, we're going to put them in. We're going to put them in this year. It ain't going to happen. They don't get the benefit of the doubt. What was it? The last Super Bowl without Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes involved was the Steelers. And was that Seattle in Dallas? Who'd the Steelers beat? So if this was the NCAA, they'd be looking at Kansas City going, man, we got to get them in somehow, right? We got to get Alabama in. We got to get this team in. This has been the most popular team over the last 10 years. They're driving incredible ratings. No, it doesn't work that way. They're going to miss the playoffs. In the NCAA will be better when I get to 64 teams, 32 on either side, 8-team divisions, and we go from there. Danny, traditional Christmas songs. There we go. Finally, somebody jumping in on Tuesday's best. Your two best Christmas songs, traditional or modern? I have two modern. Come on. Do we not have any fans of the Waitresses out there tonight? Nat King Cole, the Christmas song, and the hymn "Oh Holy Night." No opinion on modern songs, says Danny. Nat King Cole's good. "Oh Holy Night." I mean, how can you not like that? Are we sure? No matter your denomination or mainline structure, that you can really get to heaven if you don't like "Oh Holy Night." Reagan, having been on the team in the '80s, the bowl games were a blast. Attended as a fan, probably 6 or 7. Fun way to finish the year, but again, it's a new era. Yes, at the time, I'm not going to argue that back in the day, that it was a participation trophy, really. You won 7 or 8 games. It didn't matter. We all went and we had fun. The boosters went, and you went to Birmingham, Alabama. You went to Shreveport. And then you had to go back a long time before the Tangerine Bowl in '77 in the '70s when you were going to real and meaningful bowls. But yeah, it was a different era where the biggest thing you could do if you were in the Southwest Conference was to go to the Cotton Bowl. That's it. Everything was about the Cotton Bowl. And Spike Dykes would talk about that in the late '80s and the '90s, before the Big 12, and that everything you did, it didn't matter if you went 0-3 in non-conference, but you won the Southwest Conference and you played in the Cotton Bowl. Well, my gosh, certainly that was the biggest thing you could do. If you were a kid growing up in the 50s and 60s, and you get the idea. So that era evolved, and it's now a more egalitarian thing. Joseph, the only reason that Notre Dame was relevant in the '80s was because Jimmy Johnson in Miami made them that way. Catholics versus convicts. Which shirt did you have? They won the '88 national title. Now, Jerry Faust, whom they hired in the early '80s and fired in the mid '80s, now that was a horrible time. They had, people, if you're not, there are some people who think Notre Dame's always just been great and winning championships all the time. I remember Dan Devine. I remember, them not having success at the end of that run. By the way, he went to the Packers, and they had this great bumper sticker when he was sucking as the head coach of the Packers before they hired Bart Starr in the early '80s. Said the pack is dying on Devine. Meanwhile, back at Notre Dame, yeah, Jerry Faust, they hired a high school coach out of Cincinnati Moeller who'd won like 3 or 4 Ohio state championships. Sucked. Mid '80s, early, didn't matter. By the mid '90s, Bill Snyder was out recruiting Notre Dame at Kansas State. They haven't won anything since '88. you know. JC Double T, Notre Dame gets special rules starting in 26. Yeah, they do. I hope we tear that up. I hope they change it. I hope they look at that and go, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. But yeah, they would have been in this year under the rules that they'd gotten. Get rid of it. Danny, Rudy's not walking through that door. If he does, he was offsides and he was a little cheater. I don't like him at all. But the Pop-Tart Bowl is going to be lit. No, it's not. Chris, it would be like the Chiefs playing in a football game this year after the regular season is over. Yeah, pretty much going back to the Chiefs. And, hey, we need these teams in, man. They're great for TV. Chris, athletic departments lose money going to most bowl games. 100%. They're money losers. And that was the thing that happened in the 1990s. And you begin to see in the 90s and into the 2000s that it used to be, hey, Texas Tech does a deal with the Independence Bowl, and we're going to get $500,000. There you go. You can play in the Independence Bowl, you get $500,000. And so it's up to Texas Tech. How are you going to spend that $500,000? By the way, the Independence Bowl back then charged for the band, their tickets and everything, and a couple other, all these things, that out-of-pocket expenses. They didn't cover that. You had a blank check, $500,000, and whatever you could net out of that, you could get. Well, once you had the eaters and the riders on the bus and on the plane, you got the band. And I can remember in 1986 and 1989, even with the All-American Bowl, they were begging Texas Tech fans to, hey, if you can't go to the game, just buy a ticket and donate it, because we can't afford to send the band. Now, that was in the 80s. In the 90s, it got even worse. Then the conferences took over the bowl disbursement. By that, I mean the conferences, the Big 12, would do a deal with however many bowl games. Money goes into a pool. You get a certain amount of money out of that, not whatever the bowl was paying. You just get based on whatever we agreed to. And if you spent more than that, you lost money. And there were just a ton of schools losing money going to bowl games. 100%. They're not that, They're just not all that. All right, a few more before we get out of here tonight. Let's see. Fake Natalie Maines, who may or may not be the real Natalie Maines. First-time listener, long-time texter. Do you remember when people around here were excited about the Spare Liberty Bowl last year? How many players were on that team that last year that contributed to this year's playoff team? Yeah, you had a ton of people. Arkansas had more people out than you did, and they boat raced you. And it didn't matter, did it? The game didn't matter. Nobody cared. Lonnie, without the bowls, we could get the playoffs done in December and national championship on New Year's. Depending on what we want to do on a regular season schedule, 12, 11 games, get rid of the conference title games, back up rivalry weekend to Thanksgiving, and off we go. I think you still have to go into January a little bit, because I'm looking at a 16-team playoff and at a certain point a 32-team playoff. So it's going to take a little while. JCTT, I love random college games during the holidays. Call it whatever. Yeah, I don't care. I mean, you can love it. I don't care if they're on or not. Michael, Texas Michigan Citrus Bowl would be much entertaining to watch if it was a playoff game, not a who cares bowl game that most of the starters probably won't play in. Texas already had 2 or 3 players this week enter the portal. Texadus, I believe, is what they're calling it. They don't care. Mark, Christmas songs, modern song "Drummer Boy" by King and Country, and traditional song "Joy to the World." I don't know King and Country, and I hate Drummer Boy, so you're blocked for the next week. Thanks for playing. Robert Christopher, how's this for cross-pollinating topics? I used to be all in on bowls all the time, viewer, and I loved how they introduced me to some of my favorite Christmas music, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, but I'm with you in transitioning to the playoffs. Everybody, Robert is transitioning. Congratulations to Robert. He is transitioning. Randy Wade. Notre Dame opted out of a bowl years ago. Actually, Notre Dame didn't go to bowl games from the 30s until 1970. They played Texas in the Cotton Bowl for the first time in like 45 or 50 years when they went to a bowl game, and they didn't go to bowls. That's why over the weekend I said, hey, back to the 60s for the Irish. Meanwhile, I said we should have opted out of the Poulon Weed Eater Bowl a couple of years ago. I saw much better football played at the state games at Jerry World. Don't make fun of me, but I'm a big fan of Mariah Carey during Christmas. Randy, we can be big fans of Mariah Carey all year long. She doesn't have to have her jingle bells jingling. Michael, what's your opinion on what's going on today with Utah's athletic program? Okay, so there's a private equity group named Notre that's looking at financing, financing basically $500 million of private equity into the Utah athletic department. I'm still waiting on details on this and the PE stuff. The real interesting thing here, Utah is obviously a state institution. Can a state institution sell off parts of it, even an athletic department? Can they sell off parts of it to private equity? Could the state of Texas enter an agreement with a PE group and do that? And I think this is going to be a really interesting story to see play out. I'm not opposed to private equity. Private equity does great things in this country. So first, let me say I'm not opposed to PE when it's done right. But at a certain point, you do give up control. They do expect a return. How are they going to get that return? But with what's going on in Utah, I think it's really fascinating to see how it's going to play out there, because already there are a lot of people within Utah saying you can't take a state government entity and sell it to private interest. Or can you? Now, we take that to a conference level. The Big Ten is fighting over that. USC doesn't want anything to do with it. Who was it? Ohio State didn't want it to. I can't remember the Big Two. I think it was those two. How do you do that at a conference level where you have state institutions and sometimes private as well entered into an interlocking business agreement that can those state institutions sell off part of their interest to private equity without it being voted on by the people in the state? Rocket Ishmael, Texas A&M, Cotton Bowl. Somebody stole his towel. Oh Holy Night, not Drummer Boy. White Christmas, Silver Bells, not Baby It's Cold. Rape song. That's awful, but it really is. He's like grooming her. Hey, you ain't leaving here, baby. Yeah, I know you want to get. You're not leaving here, baby. Yeah. Already called your family. Don't even call them. Don't even bother. Yeah, don't worry about your brother. I took care of your brother. The snow. Yeah, you ain't got no shoes. You ain't got no shoes. Oh, you think you're going to drive? I don't think so. Have another cocktail. See how you feel in about 5 minutes. Yeah, it's cold outside, baby. Mark, Cotton Bowl, Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Orange Bowl. In the 80s, 70s, and 60s, they ruled. Yeah, they did. All right, clean up the comments before we get out of here. I would suggest that instead of bowl games, corporate sponsors finance in-season games, conferences against conferences, when that would mean something. That would be cool. Non-conference early season, I can get it. Classics, but put your name on it. Texas Tech versus Ole Miss. Brought to you by Farm Bureau or something. College football needs Notre Dame a lot more than you think. Robert? No, they don't. No, they don't. I've seen the numbers. I know what the TV numbers look like. If you took the best 6 games of the Big 12 against Notre Dame, 6 games this year, the Big 12 right there with them. SEC crushes them. College football does not need Notre Dame, but Notre Dame desperately needs college football. That's why the athletic director is out there crying like somebody stole his tricycle. The Whining by Notre Dame tells you everything you know about how desperate they are to be a part of it. Danny, I haven't cared about a lower tier bowl since Tech, Okie State, and the Coca-Cola Bowl, 1988, Japan. Late night. Totally opposed to PE back in junior high. That's pretty funny. And then finally, the ender, I loved PE too, but only when we played kickball. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the way you end a program with a Heisman Trophy voter right there chiming in. You can watch him tonight, KMAC 28, unless he's not on tonight. Fun stuff, good stuff. We'll have it archived, theraiderland.com on the website. Tomorrow, What If Wednesday, alt history. We always have fun looking at that, the what ifs in the world of sports or otherwise. Well, we've decided absolutely nothing tonight. We've solved no problems. But I hope we had fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And then I will ask you to do one thing, two things, three things, four things, five things. All right. So 5 people tonight who watched the show who enjoyed it. If you could go online to our sponsors, McAlpin Chiropractic on Facebook, Calhoun Realty out of Red River, New Mexico. They've been selling the Valley for so long, and if you're looking for a place up there, you need to talk to Linda Calhoun. Hat Creek Interiors. You don't have to own a ranch to live like it. Beautiful showroom here in Lubbock. 10101 Southside Road. Online, Hat Creek Dodge Interiors. Tell Corey Flanagan we said hey. And United Supermarkets. They've all got Facebook pages. Go there tonight and just tell them, hey, thanks for supporting Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland, being a part of it, doing that. That's how we get to do what we do. It's a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. If you had a little bit of fun tonight, if you enjoyed halfway like anything like what we did tonight, do me the favor of thanking our sponsors. McAlpin Chiropractic, Calhoun Realty in Red River, Hat Creek Interiors in Lubbock, United Supermarkets. And then let me know on the Facebook page for Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland or on Twitter at Ryan Hyatt Media. And then also, everybody, be sure and subscribe. All of our platforms are always free. So YouTube, Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland, it's free, it's easy. Same thing, Facebook and Twitter, you get the idea. All right. Popcorn shrimp, I think, tonight. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you in the morning, theraiderland.com.